This is the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Kendall of the notaballerina.com travel blog. Every episode, I'll share travel tales from several fellow travel lovers, and together we hope to entertain and inspire you, remind you of some of your own great travel experiences, and encourage you to hit the road again soon. So, welcome everybody to the 21st Thoughtful Travellers Book Club, and we are talking today about Abroad in Japan
I do have
by
a copy.
Chris Broad. Welcome, Justin. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. I mean, this was my recommendation in this book, and I'd already read it, I think.
I know you were kind of cheating, but in a good cheating way. Because
Right,
I've been
yeah.
meaning to read this book for ages, since it came out, and I absolutely loved it. Hello, Sandy. I can see that you're watching, and I saw Philippa as well. So it's working, Justin. People
Working
can see
excellent.
us.
We have fans,
and I can see
in
the
the world.
comments, which is even better because that's
Yeah.
one step better than last time. Okay, so obviously I have a special interest in the topic of this book because I spent 2 years teaching English in Osaka. Living in Japan in Osaka and Nara for that time. So I could relate to so much of it. I didn't do, so what Chris did was the JET program, and I did meet people who did the JET program, but I was just teaching in a commercial school. So I taught kids, teenagers, adults, the works, everybody.
Yeah.
But there was so many similarities. So
There's lots of ways to teach English in Japan by the sounds of it.
oh yeah, they really are. They really are. So, Justin, of course, you've only recently visited Japan for the first
Yes.
time, just
When
this
was
year.
that? May, I think it was. It's drifting away into the
Yeah, it is a few
annals of
months
history,
ago now.
but it's still very vivid in my memory.
Well, I'm sure it is exactly. So hopefully that kind of
Yeah.
also resonated a bit. So can you start off with an overall, what did you enjoy or not enjoy about the book? What's your overall thoughts?
Oh, I love the book, and it's quite an interesting one because, like, normally it's quite a common question. People like to read a book about a place before they visit, and this is one I came across, and it was mostly I stumbled on videos in YouTube, which is where the author's obviously most well known.
Yes.
And his YouTube videos came up among quite a few other YouTube videos, but yeah, somehow I then stumbled upon a book in the bookshop, and I've gone, that name is familiar. So I didn't even know he'd written the book just from YouTube. And I've gone, that name is familiar. And I've gone, wait, and the title, it's like, it's got to be the same person. So yeah, I grabbed a copy of the book, and that was the book I was going to read, or did read, before I went to Japan, to sort of get myself in the I don't know,
In the zone.
in the mood. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. The prequel to your trip. Yeah.
Yeah, prequel. And it's a really, I mean, it's not a traditional travel book, but it is because it's an experience that someone's having in a foreign country, and the fact that they're not really traveling but they're living there for years is probably not the issue here, but it gives you an insight of a foreigner in another country doing a job, and they're also traveling around, and and I think it's it was highlighted all sorts of stuff to do with Japanese culture and the differences. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So and it definitely set me up to what to expect in Japan, and it pretty much was spot on in a lot of ways. Like, some of my interactions with Japanese people were very similar to what the author had in his book. Like, yeah.
Some very polite, some very scared of you, that kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Or you ask a question, and some people would go absolutely out of their way to help you, like a lady in I think it was it I'm trying to think. I think it was in Osaka station, and I bought train tickets for the rest of my journey, which I couldn't book using the app, and the machine spat out about 13 different tickets, and I just turned around and I saw this lady, and she had a uniform on, and I asked her, I said, "Oh, what is the ticket and the seat reservation and everything like that?" And next thing you know, she's grabbed out little envelopes for each journey to put the tickets in separately. And I wrote and she's telling me to write on the envelope, and she said, "This is for," and put the first one in. She says, "Ticket, seat reservation," and then receipt. And she went out of her way to help me with that. I mean, I would have probably worked it out eventually, but it was just all these things spat out of the machine when I put the reservation number in, and it was just daunting. But then other times people were like a bit too shy. So like,
Yeah.
and
Because they're really worried about making
yeah,
mistakes with their
or they're worried,
involvement.
or they're worried if I didn't like the food or something like that. And I was very conscious of that as well, like trying to finish meals and that. And even to the point where I had learnt that in some restaurants, especially ones with iPads, you could select to get less rice or a small serve of rice rather than different servings of rice. And I
Yeah.
and I was like always often like, oh God, I've still got this pile of rice or a plate of cabbage or something like this. And I was always conscious of trying not to leave food because I knew they would then feel like I didn't like the food. So
Yes, and they have this like really, they don't like to waste
yeah. And
food.
so
Yeah,
that's some
which
of the
I remember
stuff I
Chris
learnt from the
highlighted as
book that
well. Yeah, yeah,
so
put into practice. Yeah,
put into
that's cool.
practice. So I think I managed to not upset too many people by leaving any food behind. But yeah, it was just one of the things I did pick up in the book. I can't remember where I read it, but yeah, there was lots of stuff like that where their perception is different to what you might think, and it's not a correct perception, but it's how they see
Mm.
it. So
Yeah,
just understanding, because it's very hard to tell someone, no, the food is absolutely delicious, but I really can't eat anymore.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. I think in the book, Chris had maybe it was in at the school. People were noticing that he would throw his bento away with
Yeah.
at lunchtime with a bit of rice
He
left
got
in, and
told
that
off
was
for leaving a
really
bit of rice
offensive.
behind.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that
But
does
not
ring a bell.
yes, not meaning. But then, of course, the next day someone will tell him, "Oh, your stomach's looking bigger." So
Yeah.
so
They're very upfront about
yeah.
about
So
whether
yes, well, if I stopped finishing off the rice, that might not happen.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
although it's probably his fried chicken addiction by the sound of it that might have been.
Yeah. Well, I did have some of his the fried chicken that he loves so much from Family Mart, and it was actually quite delicious. But yeah, it's like 200 yen a piece, so yeah, it would be a very easy addiction, I think.
Yes. If you're having that for dinner a few times a week, it
If
would
you
not
live
be
there, yeah.
ideal.
For me, it was easier. It would be like don't feel like going to a restaurant for dinner. I'll go to Family Mart and grab a drink and some chicken, and then.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, look, honestly, when I was working there, I finished work most days. I finished at 9 p.m. because my shift was like midday till 9 p.m.
okay.
So coming home and, get off the train
Yeah.
sort of 10 p.m. and I walked past, we didn't have it was not Family Mart. What was ours? I can't remember anymore which was.
Lawson,
it was a Lawson.
Family Mart and 7-Eleven are the three big ones.
Yes, that's right. We also had a lot of Circle K back then. I don't know if
Yeah, I think they're
there,
still
but,
around maybe. I didn't see too many. But
it was Lawson that was near between like from my train station to my apartment. I had to walk past Lawson, and on those nights, it's 10 o'clock already, and I've been working, and I'm getting tired, and I'm going home to my little apartment that doesn't have much. It's not really got a kitchen, and those meals in Lawson were quite attractive. So I have to say, many a.
I was going to say you didn't have the problem.
Store meal.
Yeah, you didn't have the problem of Chris staying back at work, because that makes you look like you're working hard, which is another Japanese and probably American and Japanese thing, really. This the whole if you stay back at work late,
presenteeism.
You do, yeah. So
No,
that was another thing. That was another thing I learned about Japan, that it was, and I kind of knew it, but they got a very interesting work culture, and
and even I assume it's still the same when I was there. A lot of my students adult students would say that they would often have to go on drinking with like go out after work and go drinking with the boss and everyone, and they really had to. There wasn't actually. I mean, if you went home, it looked bad. So Philip has just commented, and I think it's so true. I think that the insights he was able to give were fascinating, because living and working in another country uncovers so many facets of life, and often very subtle.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's so true. It's not what you get.
You're going to get more experiences for the time you're there, because you're there for longer. So so you're more likely to have a 1 or 2 week trip. You're not likely to have any the same kind of experiences, because you're not going to come across those situations. You're probably less likely to get lost, or you're less likely to do something that a Japanese person either likes or dislikes. So yeah,
absolutely. Well, I picked out a handful of parts of the book that were kind of really resonated with me. So I thought we could run through some of
Yeah.
these parts that I thought, oh, yes, that's happened to me, or,
Mhm.
that was interesting.
Yes, they do definitely stand out from the book.
Oh, good.
When
Yes, good.
when I
Hopefully
read
some of
them.
the fun parts as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
the first part the first part on my list was when he went to an onsen, so a
The
hot
first time.
spring for the
Yes.
first time. Yes, yeah. Did you do that while you were in Japan, Justin?
I was not game enough.
I
I
understand.
didn't go I didn't go anywhere really. I didn't stay in any ryokans or anything like
Mm,
that either, and I
mm,
kind of regret it, but I figure I will be back and it'll be a ryokan will be something I will go stay in. I'll work myself
that's
up
fair.
to maybe doing a non-public onsen first before I enter a
Yes.
public
I
one,
think that's a good
do a
idea.
private
Yeah.
onsen.
Yes. In a ryokan where you can just book like
Yeah,
the
and I
hour for
kind of
you and no one else is there. So
I kind of realize it's quite interesting because even in today's society, probably 40 or so years ago, changing rooms at swimming pools and stuff, people would be naked in those a lot more than these days. If you're going to change room at the gym or a swimming pool in a Western country, most people are trying to be somewhat, I, you know,
yeah,
modest.
to
I
cover
guess.
up a bit more. Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
agree.
so
Yeah.
nudity, I think, and I don't know.
We're going backwards rather than
Yeah, 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 yeah.
progressive.
And I
Yeah,
know
I
some
agree.
European countries, I bet you there are Finns and Swedes and stuff that would be leaped straight into
Yes,
onsens and
absolutely.
stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. But
So,
I think,
but
I know
yeah, I
a bit
don't
more
have an issue with it.
Australians
I think
and
it's just
obviously
it's
British
a
especially.
me problem, not a anyone.
Yes, same,
And
same. Yeah,
so
yeah.
and one day I probably will on my second, third, fourth trip to Japan when I go.
It's fair. Oh, look, the first time I went to an onsen in Japan, it was because I was taken away for the weekend by some Japanese friends.
Yeah,
And so it was very awkward to say no, but I was also felt it was at a ryokan in a
yeah,
lovely, quite a large ryokan. So the onsen there was a lot of people there.
yeah,
And, I'm like, my friends just like, going in, doing everything. And
yeah,
I'm like
yeah, yeah,
trying to do all the right things. And I know, you get undressed properly and,
yeah,
wash yourself properly. And yeah, I found it very, confronting the first time, to be honest.
yeah,
And what I laughed about in the book was I actually wrote a blog post at the time. It's still on my blog somewhere, and it was about something. The title was something like, getting naked in a Japanese onsen or something, because
yeah,
it's like a really culturally tricky thing for
yeah,
Australia, as we've said, and obviously for British as well, according to Chris. And that post of mine got tons of search
yeah.
traffic for people like who were looking for the word naked, which was not the kind of traffic I had in mind. But Chris said the same thing happened. It was, I think, the second or third video he posted on
Yeah,
YouTube. And it had like the naked woman, the hentai on the
yeah, yeah.
and suddenly everyone's getting. So I thought, oh, that was
It,
fun.
and it's quite interesting that even when you look at that kind of stuff, even Japanese, um, the way with things like the hentai and the anime and stuff like that, and how that is women's body or naked bodies are viewed in those kind of contexts. Like it's a very different society, and like an onsen's completely okay, but yeah, other things,
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes
There's
nudity is not
some
okay, or
extremes, aren't there?
but
So
but
yeah,
yeah, they'll have other ways of being
yeah.
overly
Yep.
suggestive with their with their stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. It's
um,
such an interesting mix in Japan. It
yeah.
really is.
But I mean,
Um,
it does. But I mean, I think I just didn't really give myself a chance to have this experience because I was just thinking, even as I was talking, it reminded me I did do a Turkish bath once, and I had a modesty towel, and that's all I had. So
Next time, Justin,
and
it's
a
okay.
man just massage washing me with soapy water and throwing a cold bucket of water over my head, and
Well, there you
it
go.
was,
Yeah.
so I've had a
Been
similar
there.
experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's probably not a giant leap to do it, but yeah,
It's okay. Next time is
all
fine.
right,
So
yeah,
it took me like I'd been living there probably a year and a half before I did this. So
yeah,
it's fine. A quick one that I just really related to. So when I lived in Japan, I also tried very hard to learn Japanese,
Mhm.
and I had a lesson with a Japanese housewife once a week,
Yes,
which was fabulous. Similar but different to Chris's
yes,
kind of circumstances. But when he wrote about just sitting, getting up early every day and sitting there and writing out his new 25 kanji Japanese characters to try and learn them, I was like, oh yes, I feel that pain because it's unlike any kind of other rote learning or memorization that I've done ever
Yeah,
because there's no two ways about it. You just have to do it a lot. And I used to sit
yeah.
on the train on my way to work to teach in Japan and just write kanji over and over and over. And
I
I've
mean,
forgotten a lot of them
it,
now, but
yeah, I did, and I did a Japanese course before I went, and all I learnt was the 50 hiragana characters.
mhm.
Of course, I need to realize that that's not sufficient enough to get by in Japan.
No,
And
it's a good
but
start though.
but it's a good start, and I don't remember the 50 characters anymore. So I don't think I ever really learned. I learned maybe I probably could recall about half of them. So it was good getting memory refreshers when I'd see in a train like Kyoto or Tokyo or something written, and
And they'd have the
because they
hiragana under
actually
it.
have some characters in there that are not actually they're not silent, but they're not. There was an extra character in one of them that if you spell it out the way, it's
Oh, like Kyoto because they have
yeah,
very long
yeah,
sounds and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's right. Yeah,
but yeah,
long
it's
vowels.
the my experience of it was that it was quite hard just to learn hiragana, and then even though katakana, I believe, just it matches it, so it's just a different writing format. So there's 50 katakanas and 50 hiraganas, and they're basically the
They're
same.
similar. Yes, not all, but a
And
lot
one
of
is
them are
used
recognizable.
mostly for foreign. It's used for foreign words, and then
Yeah,
then you've got the
that's
old
katakana.
Chinese characters, the kanji, and it's just like.
I know. It's a lot to learn.
And the South Koreans are going, we fixed this. We just came up with
Yep,
our
yep,
alphabet. I'm
yep.
going,
South
excellent.
Koreans were so
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But yeah,
Other
for
language
anyone wanting to
related
go to
thing.
Japan, no, don't worry about it. There's plenty of
No.
written in the
Yeah, and now there's
Roman
Google
alphabet.
Translate that just takes pictures
Yeah.
of it and
And Google
then
Translate worked pretty well. I mean,
yeah, it's
sure,
imperfect, but it usually gives you the
the
ideas
the
in
the
it.
surprise chicken dish I bought at one place had chicken and wasn't very surprising. So, but
That's good.
yeah, there was a photo and chicken surprise or something, and I'm going, okay, that sounds all right.
Chicken surprise. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's best just not to know anyway,
Yeah,
just to
true.
be
Yeah.
surprised. But yeah, it is
But
a
yeah,
hard.
with technology
It's
these
very hard
days,
to learn to read
language
it.
is just not even a barrier anymore. So,
No, no,
and I saw
that's
plenty of
yeah,
Japanese people using a phone to talk to people or
yeah. That's
give
what I experienced on my
advice
last
and
trip
help
there.
to people. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Especially like up in Tohoku, like kind of where Chris was living, where there's not so many tourists.
yeah,
Yeah, we had quite a lot of people in like in little,
yeah.
inns or whatever and restaurants who would just use. They weren't even using Google Translate. They seemed to have like a special device, but the
Yeah,
same effect.
even in when I went into my favorite shop, Yodobashi Camera,
Oh, yes.
one of the things they sell in there, among pretty much everything else, there's nothing they don't sell, was translation. So specific devices for translation,
Right.
English and Japanese or to other languages. And I think you could speak into them and stuff. So instead of it being a phone, it was just, and I mean, there must be a market for them, I guess.
Yes. Okay. I think that's
So
what these like waitresses and people
yeah,
would use
yeah.
them
So
for. Yeah.
it was a specific device to do
Focused on
translation.
that.
So yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Huh. The other language related thing though was he also talked about his t-shirt collection
Yeah,
of Japlish, Japanese English.
yeah,
So he said in the book he saw one that was like, "Are you enjoy spring?" And
yeah.
that was the t-shirt. And I like, I mean, I understand why it happens. And obviously I always think of the reverse situation of people who get like tattoos with Japanese or
Oh,
Chinese characters and actually their tattoo doesn't mean, eternal
yeah.
love. It means fried chicken or something. So I know it goes both
I
ways. But the one I had a sweatshirt for years and it must have worn out. I don't know. And on it had written, um, the baby is able to walk all aboard. Like instead of all aboard, it was all
thought,
aboard.
which
And the
even
pictures
all
that were
aboard
not
doesn't make
related to no, none of it made any sense. I
sense.
think it had something else as well. But it
Yeah.
was just fun. I loved collecting those kind of things.
I'm always on the lookout, and I didn't see anything that really stands out to me memory wise. Like I think I found, I mean, they're obviously all around Asia, in especially some interesting English translations, probably because of how the languages differ a lot more than
Yeah, the whole
I think in
structure's different and
Europe,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot more English speakers and stuff nearby, and I guess, and English is taught in a lot of schools there. as a second. Like, I don't know how many countries do it, but I would imagine most of Europe has their own
English as
language,
it, yeah.
another language, probably English. They probably would trilingual and put us all to shame. But yeah, I didn't see any interesting ones. I mean, I think pretty much all the English signs I saw actually made sense, which was good.
I
So
guess it's sort of progress, and it's also
yeah,
sort of sad.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
less
But I
funny,
did,
but
yeah,
it is, yeah, it is for the best. Actually, I want to skip around because you mentioned when I sent my notes over that speaking of the language, that
yes.
you noticed a bit about how Chris had talked about the rigidity of how English is taught there.
Yeah, and that was in his book, and he had this whole idea of the Japanese education system had a way that English had to be taught, and he was like going, yeah, but none of the stuff that you're learning isn't of any use. Like, we don't use that in speaking English, so you're learning stuff that's not of use. And I think that's a bit of it's one of those gripes people have about Duolingo as well. Like, some of the stuff you learn early on in Duolingo is absolutely no use to you. Like, um,
The chicken can
yeah, and
sing or something, yeah.
whereas like the Japanese class I did, we learned to say, obviously say our name, ask someone their name. Some of the more complicated stuff was asking the time, asking what time something opened and closed,
Mm.
and how to order food and stuff in restaurants and stuff. So we covered practical stuff, but I think from what I could understand from where Chris in the book was like, the stuff that they were teaching was just stuff that was not ever going to be coming use in common language. Like, you're never going to say it. And I think even then there was some interesting translations. I think there was like they just kind of mixed nouns into different sentences, and
The
like,
two things I remember was he mentioned a couple of times about they had a textbook talking about an elephant with a
yeah,
prosthetic leg.
yeah,
And
yeah,
also that then he'd also kind of criticized or, said, oh, these
yeah,
textbooks have got a few errors. And it was the textbooks had been written by the teachers there.
teacher, yeah,
So
yeah.
that
So
was like, oops. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then of course I'll just briefly touch on the video that you sent me the other day that
Oh, yes.
thought about swearing and how, and it generally seemed that the Japanese people he was teaching how to swear, generally they seemed very interested in this, and not because they wanted to learn, but it's just it's like telling jokes in a foreign language. It's a very hard thing to do, and getting the context right and stuff. So
Just
in
for
my
anyone who's
opinion,
listening,
sometimes,
it's a video that's early
yeah,
on. It's from like 10 years ago on his
yeah, yeah,
channel. And he got hold of the book, which was, I won't use the word because we'll
no,
allow thing
it's got the F
explicit, but
word on the front, so
it was
you'll
the F
find
word.
it.
It was a Japanese book, but basically
Yeah,
how to swear in English with
yeah,
practical examples. And he gave a copy to several of his Japanese friends,
but
including
also how
two
to use
older
that.
men. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's actually really practical. Like,
yeah.
not even just to swear,
And
but just
even
have
because
those
some of it
normal
was using
conversations.
the swear words not in a bad way. Like, I mean,
Mm.
obviously it's a swear word, but Australians are very accustomed to this. We can use swear words to as a sign of affection towards people that we know,
Yes.
and
Emphasize happiness and
emphasize happiness.
it kept it
Yeah,
very
and
positive. So yeah,
yeah, so while probably not necessarily you want to be teaching Japanese school kids that, because
no,
teenagers
they
get with
could misuse
teenagers,
that. Yeah.
but yeah, I think often context and something that's useful. I mean, you would think if you're going to teach Japanese children English, it would be stuff that would probably use online and stuff like
Mm.
and how to talk to other people, because that's what they're going to do, isn't it? They're going to go on the internet and they're going to talk to people on whatever the latest social media app is and stuff like that. But that's not what they teach. They teach them very rigid
Yeah. Yeah.
English about stuff they're probably never going to talk about, like elephants and yeah.
Mm. And which is a shame because it probably also doesn't help. Like, he did seem
Yeah.
to think that a lot of the kids really hated learning English, which
Yeah. So it wasn't fun. And
such a
he was
shame.
trying to make it fun and interesting, but I think the fellow teachers were not necessarily as open to it, at least in the beginning. I think they probably, I think like a lot of these things, they kind of appreciate once they get to know people. I think they kind of open up and appreciate that there's a different way of learning. But yeah, I think he still thought that the whole way, like, oh, we're going to do it the Japanese way. This is how we have to teach English. And as soon as he tried to introduce a different type of activity, which kind of, like a few times, and it was like, no, we can't do this. We've got to just memorize. And even memorize and recite. And that was kind of how they do a lot of their education by the sounds of it. So, yeah.
Yes, and I think part of that stems from for their writing
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
because,
They've got to
that's the
remember it.
only way to learn that essentially. So
Yeah.
then that's kind of, gets entrenched. So, I think when I was teaching English, it was, we had a company-wide kind of textbook, but fortunately the individual lessons were fairly like you could use a fair bit of creativity with it. So we might have a page that had a bit of a story on it, but we could do a lot of other things around it. So
Yeah.
it was it was, and the emphasis was on conversation. So
Yeah.
I think, but partly those kind of companies are needed because in high schools they learn only, how to pass exams and write and not much about how to speak.
And
So
and if you ask anyone who's learned a language, they've often found that knowing a lot of words and knowing words is probably more important in a lot of ways than some of the grammar concepts, because if someone comes up to you and they're saying the word for lost and or whatever, like
hospital,
if they don't, hospital or sick,
help.
if there's no context in it, you don't need the context with those words. Whereas, So anyway,
it's very tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
The last thing on my list that I related to, I related to so much, but the last thing I pulled out was when he climbed Mount Fuji. So he had a few, weird things, and his friend wasn't wearing enough warm clothes. So I will raise my hand and say that was me because it was the middle of summer and I'm not a mountain person. I didn't understand how cold it was going to be at the top. And in fact, when I went, my then boyfriend and I got lost as we were coming down. We'd gone on a bus trip from Osaka with two friends, one of whom was Canadian Japanese and she spoke Japanese. So we're the only gaijin, the only foreigners on that bus. And we didn't understand, and we thought my friend understood, and she told us what she thought. I don't know if she made the mistake or we made the mistake, but we went down the wrong way. We missed out on going to the onsen, and we fortunately managed to get picked up and taken back to Osaka, but it took us like 4 extra hours to climb down, and it was a steep part, and it was fabulous, and I loved being at the top of Mount Fuji at 6 a.m. with the sun rising. It was crazy good, but the whole saying about only a fool climbs it twice, I totally understand where that's coming from.
Look, I'm going to sound like a bit of a party pooper, but anything that requires me to climb a mountain to catch a sunset where there's probably a 90% chance you're not going to see it, I just don't take the risk. I've been caught a few too many times.
You might be very sensible, actually, Justin.
I've been caught out many times where you're getting up at the crack of dawn to see a sunset and a sunrise, and most of the time it doesn't happen. And it was just like, why did I get up for this? I mean, I can only think of one in my entire life. I've probably done a dozen of these things over the years in different places. And and only one of them, I think I actually saw a sunrise that I thought was worth seeing.
No,
So I'm a bit skeptical. Plus, it sounded like it was not a walk in the park. You had to, not booked. I think you have to buy a pass now or a ticket to climb. So I think they restrict.
Yes, they've restricted the numbers, I think.
Numbers now. And so, and I conveniently did not look into that. And,
so you just couldn't.
And I went to Japan.
I think you were there at the wrong time of year too.
Yes, wrong time of year, so that helped me as well. And I went to Japan. I was there for nearly 4 weeks, and I did not see Fuji once, even though I would have had views of Fuji from about half a dozen.
Zoomed past, but it was not.
Zoomed past or up the top of a tower or something like that, and no, never saw it.
Wasn't playing
not playing nicely. So,
another reason to go back.
Yeah, and it's quite funny. I have seen the fake Fuji in New Zealand though, which they often use to film.
What do you mean the fake Fuji?
There's a mountain in New Zealand, and it's in the North Island near. It's kind of. I'm trying to remember the name of it now, but if you Google Earthed it, anyone playing along at home, if you Google Earth it on the North Island, you'll sort of see in the southwest there's a volcano, and it's almost a perfect cone like Fuji. And they've filmed movies there, and it's been Mount Fuji. So,
like they've genuinely
yeah. When I was there were a lot of cows in the paddocks, which was very un-Japanese like, but I assume they CGI that out.
Out, yeah.
But Yeah, I can't think of the name because it changed from I think it used to be Egmont or something like that, and they've changed to
To
I
a
think
Maori
National
name.
Park is it's still Egmont National Park, but the mountains changed to a Maori name. So,
Mhm.
but anyway, I have seen that. I've seen the fake Mount Fuji on the very clear days.
Well, there you go. Now you kind of know what it's like
Oh
then.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
that's hilarious. Now the final kind of topic that we decided to touch on was, well, I kind of called it over tourism and under
yeah,
tourism because
yeah,
Japan has both.
yes.
You probably saw some of the over tourism when you were there.
I did, and look, I think on your first trip to Japan, everyone's going to want to go see a lot of these places that are
I
over
can tell.
touristed.
Yeah.
And I tried to do my best to spread time out. So the route I took was if I'm in a place for more days, I then can choose to go to place at a less busier time. I'm not
Mm,
trying to cram stuff in, so I have no choice on what time I go to a place. So
yeah,
um,
smart.
for example, in Kyoto, which I yeah, that was probably the worst place. Although Osaka was pretty bad because of the
Oh,
expo
the
on
expo,
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, you're going if you're going to the expo, you know,
You expect it to be busy because it's
yeah,
the
it's
World
going to be
Expo.
busy.
So
It's for
yeah,
once in a
yeah,
every so
yeah.
often thing. And Kyoto, I did a couple of things. Like I went to the Gion district at about 7 a.m. in the morning,
Right.
and even then there was probably reasonable number of people around the streets. And then there was a temple I went to up there, and by the time I done the temple thing at about 9 a.m. and came back through the streets, it was like, wow, this place is
Evie.
packed. And then the Fushimi Inari, the red Inari
The
gates that
orange
everyone loves.
doors, yep, up the
I
mountain,
went to
yeah.
that at about 6 p.m. at night, and it was quite busy then, but it was doable. Like there wasn't a massive amount of people. Like you could stand and wait for about a few minutes, and the people would walk through, and I'd get a photo of no one in there or something like
Right.
that. One or two
Yeah, it's a
people.
fairly long
So it wasn't.
path, and if you keep
Yeah.
going far enough, a lot of people
So
stop
those
finding
are
it.
two of the very more popular sites. But then when I went to the bamboo forest,
Mm,
yeah, made the mistake of needing to get the bus because it's not an easy place to get to in terms of public transport. So you got a bus, and by the time I got there, it was absolutely packed. And yeah, so the people were all there, but then surprisingly, quite you don't have to go too far off the path. And even like Hiroshima, I expected that to be quite busy, being
mm,
what it is.
well, no, yeah.
And I didn't think it was busy, but it wasn't anywhere like Kyoto busy.
Oh,
Like I
that's
don't think
good.
anything is like, and Kanazawa as well, nothing like, and even Takayama, which is a bit of a touristy town
Mm,
that everyone likes to visit. All of those places, because they're extra train trip and a bit harder train trip to book, in my opinion. Although Hiroshima's not, but it's just a bit further away.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So,
you've got to
but
have a
even in
fair
Tokyo,
amount of time.
if some of the neighborhoods I went to that were not the ones that everyone
The famous ones, yeah,
reads about,
yeah.
not Shinjuku and not Shibuya and that, and not Asakusa and
Hmm.
those ones, there was always a lot of local people around, but they were quite,
That's a big
they were
population.
quite pleasant. So you
Oh,
really
that's good.
don't, in my opinion, you really don't have to go too far. And I mean, I know Chris, he's very fond of the Tohoku region because that's where he
Mm.
taught
Yes.
in a town up there. And so I know a lot of people say once you head north of Tokyo, it's the number of tourists die out until you get to sort of Hokkaido in winter where the ski resorts are packed.
Yes,
But
yes,
other
yes.
than
But if
that,
you're away from the skier
and
town, well,
then
that's
south,
exactly right.
and as soon
Yeah,
as you start going further south from Osaka, it's like
yeah, same thing.
Shikoku and Kyushu and that are not
Yeah,
not that
yeah.
busy with
No,
tourists.
that's the thing. Exactly. It
So
seems like the tourists are so concentrated, and I get it because those
yeah,
places are iconic. But you
yeah,
can have a very similar experience in so many places. But I was thrilled to. I kind of had lost track of the fact that he was in Tohoku, but of course that's where I
yeah,
went with Catherine 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years
yeah,
ago when we went to do our walk there. You know, we would often be the only foreigners we
yeah.
would see all day, and it was absolutely fabulous.
I think even like just the walks and because I read a lot of stuff about some other walks that sounded like the famous one, the Nakasendo Trail,
Nakasendo Way,
and that
yeah.
doesn't appear, even though that's well known. I don't. You would probably find you wouldn't be too many foreigners doing it. It's just
or increasing numbers, but still you've got to have a
Yeah.
good chunk of time to do it. So it's not going to
exactly.
be like
It's a little bit
quick trip.
so
to
any
Greece or
activity that's a
something.
little bit harder to do,
Yeah.
takes a little bit of extra effort,
Yeah.
is probably going to be well worth it because most people won't do it. So
Yeah. 100%. I knew that tourism had gone crazy in Japan, but I was just in the one of Chris's chapters. He contrasted the tourism visitor numbers, which I don't know seemed very meaningful to me. So in the year 2000, 4 million overseas visitors came to Japan. So that's not. I was there 2001 on. So similar time. But by 2018, that 4 million had increased to 31 million. Which is
I think
it's an insane amount.
And I think it's 36 or 37 at the moment.
Yeah, I can imagine.
About 1 million are coming from Australia. So we're not a
But I mean, everyone I know practically who likes to travel in Australia.
The vast majority of tourists to Japan are China, South Korea, and America. Like I think 20 to 25 million are from those three countries. So they're vast majority. And then, but you're starting to get people like Taiwan is very, probably a million people from Taiwan, Australia, and then even some of the other countries, Europe and all those ones. It's a lot further for people to get to from Europe, but so I think the vast majority are from surprisingly South Korea, China, and the USA. And I forget which ones were the most, but yeah, there was a lot of signs I saw. A lot of times I saw Chinese. There was obviously Mandarin, South Korean, Japanese, and English. So I'd see 4, which is either on signs, especially at train stations. Especially on the common routes, you would see that flick through.
In those languages, right?
And then
amazing.
Yeah, and I saw in quite a few restaurants that had you could see where they had the menus set. They had Chinese and South, so they'd have menus set aside for not just English. So
yes,
or an option on the iPads.
I mean, I'm glad that they have. I mean, there's some parts of Japan, especially that need that tourism. And that's what I really liked about Chris's approach. And in the book, and also he talks about it a lot on his YouTube channel about encouraging people to come to that Tohoku.
And his podcast, for anyone who's not familiar with his podcast, because he does a very rigorous 2 episodes a week. So which is a lot.
It's a lot. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know how he does it, but I think it's a very just sit down. We're recording for 30 minutes, but obviously they always have a plan. They've got research.
Mileage may vary. But Justin, you mentioned to me that he's writing another book.
He is, So one of the frequent things I think you'll see in his podcast, he'll talk about writing a book, and it's going to be a non-fiction book, and I think he's fashioned it, as he said, it's a travel guide, but he's making sure to include, because he's been to every prefecture in Japan, and he's trying to put reasons into that book to go to all of these places. So now I think, based on what I've heard on his podcasts and even the occasional video messages and stuff he's sent, the deadline for that book has passed. So he's he jokes, and I think for people who don't know him as well, like, he's got a very British sense of humor, which Australians can understand. So if you're not familiar with him and you go after this and look up his videos or something like that, just bear in mind that he genuinely isn't. His humor is just very kind of self-deprecating in a way. But irony. He genuinely does talk a lot about. He genuinely does talk a lot about, topics you would cover in your podcast, thoughtful travel stuff. But very
absolutely.
And so his book, one of the things he's mentioned many times is that he's always trying to tell people go to some of these other regions, and because his podcast, at the end of his podcast, he usually gets 2 or 3 emails, and people will ask for advice because they're coming to Japan or been to Japan. And often he gets people saying, I want to go to a place or something like that. So he's often always pointing out, don't go to these. You don't have to go to those places that everyone goes to. I mean, you can go and see them, but there's a lot of wonderful.
So many other options. I mean, Japan is just full of.
And I mean, I fully admit I did a lot of research. I've got probably another 1 or 2 trips in my mind for Japan whenever I get over there, and so.
I lived there for 2 years. I've been back 4 times. There's still I could still go
And
20
he
times. I have
and he
there's
has
no
been
limit. There's so
to
many more places to
yeah,
see
and he has been to every prefecture in
prefecture.
Japan. I don't know how many there are, 20 something,
Something,
maybe
I think
more.
20 something, I can't remember. Maybe
And so if he's
20
been
to
to
30.
all of them, I mean,
Yeah, and it's a very long city.
so
It's quite like
he's
small.
probably like probably been to more places than most Japanese people, which isn't
Yeah,
necessarily hard because I mean, often
yeah.
people in their own country don't travel it as much.
No, that's true. Although Japanese are quite good at that because they like to go back
Yeah.
and bring back omiyagi
Oh,
special
yeah.
souvenirs from, yeah.
I
Now,
saw
Philip
that.
has asked a question. Because I want to ask you this because I think you can answer this better than I can. So Philip has said, I read the book before I looked at his videos. She's interested to know how different it was to arrive at his book after watching the videos or listening to his podcast. So you knew about his stuff before you read the book, right?
It's interesting because I had seen some of the friends he made in Japan that he detailed in his book. So, like,
Natsuki.
his partner, for example, she's Canadian, and she did a similar kind of thing, and I think she's now doing a lot of buying up of old houses and doing them up and turning them into Airbnbs and stuff like that with a bit of Japanese kawaii cuteness to them and stuff like that. So she's got a channel as well that she does a lot of stuff on, and so I knew about her and I'd seen some of her videos, but didn't know like anything about her. And then the most famous guy in there, which everyone loves on the videos, is Natsuki, who's not. I don't think I've ever met a Japanese person like him, and
I have met. I've got a couple
think
of
he would
friends like
be a
Natsuki, but
unique,
he's not typical. Yes,
he's a unique Japanese person in
yes,
very outgoing, very wild personality for a Japanese. So he's not the
yeah.
shy, reserved type. He would and just he spent a lot of time in the book because he literally met in a dark road in the middle of this town that he was teaching in, and the guy, I forget what he said. Oh, do you like rock and roll or British rock music or something like that, or English?
Yeah,
And
can't
something
remember,
along
but he
those
was
lines.
like basically, he forced Chris into being his friend
Yeah,
just by meeting on the
So
street.
next thing you
Yeah,
know, they've gone to a seedy looking bar by the sounds of it to have a few drinks, and they've
they've
become
been
lifelong
besties
friends. And
ever
I think
since.
Natsuki's quite. I think he was a hairdresser or something as well, but
Yeah,
by
yeah.
trade, and so but they always worried about their business and stuff. But yeah, and you see that they're often doing stuff in videos, and of course there's a lot of other. I think that podcaster community or podcaster YouTuber community in Japan is fairly tight. Like a lot of them know each other and stuff like that. So I don't think he mentioned too many of those. He he did mention his producer person Ryotaro.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I know he's been in videos, but I couldn't.
Okay.
I haven't
Did
religiously
reading the
watched
book
them all.
help you kind of like because when you watch
But
the
it
videos,
did.
they're all over the place. Did reading the book help you kind of put it all in a kind of
Yeah. I think
know,
it did. It did. It was like
in an order?
I knew he taught English, but because by the time I got to his videos, I didn't go back and watch old videos. I mean, the quality of them it's changed because even when he started doing YouTube, it was back in an era where YouTube wasn't professionally made videos. It was just people posting all sorts of stuff with wobbly cameras and that, and you can see that in his videos from like 2014 or when he started. It was a long time ago now, and so I haven't gone back to watch stuff. I've just if things have come up because I've Googled them or it's related, and I think it all linked everything in nicely. So I feel like I got a good idea now. Like,
Yes, interesting.
you
Because I'd
know,
seen a few, but I like as he mentioned certain things in the book, then I went to
yeah,
the YouTube channel
you
to
can
find
go and
out
Google
more and
that.
to watch
And
them and
so,
stuff. And I actually just tonight started watching the Natsuki 1 hour documentary because Natsuki's such a gorgeous character.
I
So
haven't watched that one yet. I
yeah,
watched the
I've only started, but
I watched the one where they made a music video, which I think did all right, called "Too Much Volcano" or something like that, and they made.
that sounds.
So he does a lot of fun stuff like that, but I think
But
he
also some
definitely is
meaningful
always
stuff too.
respectful
So yeah, I think so
to
too.
Japanese culture, and he's now like obviously wanting to do more documentary style stuff. So some of the more recent ones was about volcanoes and was about a man. There was a UFO sighting, and he went to the place to interview and talk to the guy, and there was no sort of you're batshit crazy, you saw a UFO. It was more like I just want to get the story because he wants to tell that story. So
yeah, exactly. And I like the way he like his videos about Fukushima region and stuff. Having because we were there a couple of years ago, just to see the the encouraging people back for
Yeah.
those
So,
devastated
and
regions. You
he's
know, they
met
need it.
some.
I like that.
I mean, I think he does joke about how he's met the emperor, and I think he also met the king or the queen of
Oh,
England.
I don't know. I know he met Watanabe Ken, the famous actor.
Yeah, it's another. He's
But
met a
do you
lot.
know what I learned from the book? And then I went down a rabbit hole on the videos, and I sent sent the video to Catherine earlier today. That Watanabe Ken, or Ken Watanabe, the famous actor, he went
Yeah,
to save this little town in the Fukushima region and
and I
built
think
a cafe there. So we stayed in that town, but I
oh
didn't even know. So in
no,
Kesanuma, we went there,
um,
but I had no idea. We just stayed
yeah.
overnight, and we didn't
Did he,
know that there was
and
this
I'm
whole
trying to
court
remember
there.
because this is where because I read the book a fair while ago. And I'm trying to remember. Did he mention how in the book? Because at one stage he was like a foreign, probably quite popular, and like at one stage I think he had the media turn up on his doorstep
Yes.
asking for his opinion on something because he was a foreigner and but it was on YouTube, and so that's who they came up. Didn't matter. He had no idea or wasn't an expert in it. It was just foreigner. Let's go ask this guy his opinion.
Yeah, yeah, he's a visible foreigner that people could
Foreigner,
find about.
and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
posted a
very
video
interesting.
recently. It was a it was a YouTube event or something like that, but they wanted him really just they were using him just to sell products on this big sale video,
Right.
and
Yeah.
he says it's a bit of a train wreck, and he posted some of the video on it, but he just said it was a low point of his career.
Right. Yeah, he seems
But he
quite
did it because he
ethical, I
thought
hope.
he was going to get he was in that stage where he was trying to get a visa and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's stuff like that. I think he genuinely
Yeah.
is
I
fits
give
the
him a
mold
big
of a
tick. I think he's
thoughtful
a thought exactly.
traveler.
I think
And he
he's
has complained about a lot of bad YouTuber stuff,
yes,
like
exactly,
in
exactly. I was
temples and
down
stuff.
that rabbit
So I
hole
think,
too. Anyone who's watching, if you just have any other questions for us or any comments, or want to hop into Zoom with us, we've got a few minutes left.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess people, if they're interested, if you haven't read it, it's definitely a fun book to read. Keep an eye
Yeah,
out
it's
for
a
his
quick
next.
read and it's
I
an
mean, I think his
enjoyable
next
read.
book will be interesting to read, even if you're not planning to go to places. Because I think he'll still probably put a story slant on some of the stuff that he sees. But until it comes out, which I don't know. I don't know how long it takes for a book to be if he hasn't written it, but it could be the
Could
next
be
year or
at
two.
least a year or two or longer. So
It's fine. I'm not probably going
slow.
to get to Japan for another couple more years before another
That's true. You've just been. So yeah.
it's
So
just
the
been. So
cycle he can wait. That's
yeah,
you're
yeah,
happy with that. No, well, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
yeah.
Sandy's comment, I agree, Sandy. She said it was too short, the book. I agree.
Too short. Yeah.
I wanted
I
and
think
like at
I
the
think he
end I
did.
wanted some more stories about the the intervening,
Yeah,
although I
and
loved
I
the school parts the best
did wonder
because
because
I related.
a lot of it. I think like maybe 9/10 of the book was up to when he was
Yeah,
all his English teaching stuff, and so
exactly.
his
Yeah.
recent life in Japan was quite shortened, and I thought that might have been what he was going to write about when he talked his second book, but
Yes,
not.
I wondered the same. No.
It's a guidebook slash highlights of
Places.
Japan in all the prefectures of Japan. So he's made that kind of clear that he's writing about every prefecture because he's been to all of them, and very few people have actually done that,
Mm,
written a book. Like guidebooks kind of do, but the guidebooks are a bit bland and stale. So I think
yeah.
I
He'll
think
do
it's
it in
a
an interesting
pseudo
way.
guide slash, hey, there's I don't know, a really great sushi restaurant or one of those water noodles or something like that in this town, and you really should check it out. And
Yeah. Yeah.
with a story, I think that's the
Yeah,
gist.
hopefully a story where he's been somewhere with Natsuki because Natsuki's
Yeah,
my fave.
yeah. So,
I had a friend in Japan who was a slightly older version of Natsuki, and he ran an izakaya. He owned an izakaya near
oh,
the school,
yeah.
and his English never improved very much because I don't think he cared very much about grammar. And I kind of get that vibe with Natsuki as well when I've seen him on videos. But he loved to talk and he loved to be, he was quite, for a Japanese person, quite outrageous. And and those people, like, I think it's probably quite tricky to have that personality and fit into Japanese life. So I can see why it's easy to me to see why they're drawn to making friends with foreigners as well. So,
Yeah, yeah. Because all I really only had experiences. Everyone was very reserved. Um,
yeah. That's typical.
Even anytime I spoke to someone, I think, and you tried to make a conversation. Like I had my origami teacher didn't really. He was very interested into showing me stuff and telling me about even his family. Like his kids aren't into origami, but he spent nights folding this, and I would say things, but he wouldn't. You'd ask more questions, but you'd never get answers to it. It would just
Right.
so he teased you, and And this person in the Nintendo Museum I was talking to about, they just said, "Oh, asked me where I was from," but that was all the conversation. It was almost like a polite thing. But they weren't really interested in having a conversation after that. It's almost like they thought, "Oh, I have to ask this person where they're from," and appear.
Yes, they've got their prepared parts. And
Yeah, so
I think it takes a lot longer to get to know.
And that's fine.
Sandy's just told me something very exciting. She said, "Watch Chris's video where he climbs Mount Fuji with Natsuki for his 50th birthday."
I have seen that.
I have not seen that. Oh, that sounds very cool.
That's your viewing for this evening sorted, Amanda. It's quite a good video. And I think Natsuki's 50 or 51 in that video, so he's probably a year or two older now.
I didn't realise that he was that old. Yes. I mean, that old,
and
that
was
about
another
my age, I say, but yes.
That was another reason as a new 50-year-older, another reason I didn't want to go climb Mount Fuji. Didn't want to test the decade too early. So.
No, fair. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. And next month, or not next month, next book club, which will probably be October, I'm excited. We are going to be reading Monisha Rajesh's new train book. So some years ago, we read Around the World in 80 Trains.
Yes.
Of Monisha's, and she's got a new book which comes out like next week, I think, and it's called Moonlight Express. So it's about her experiences on night trains, and I love night trains, so I'm very much looking forward to it. And it seems like we're going to have Monisha with us to be able to talk about the book. She's said yes, she'd love to, so that's super exciting. But we just have to tee up the time and everything. So watch this space.
It's definitely worth reading the book then, isn't it?
It's extra. It'll be extra. I love all her books anyway.
If people have got spare time and they didn't read the Around the World or Around India, and
exactly.
So I read both of those.
Books are fabulous.
So definitely.
Oh, Philippa says, I love her books. I met her in Yangon and she was in Edinburgh this week. You've already met her, Philippa. You are ahead of us. So oh no, I'm really looking forward to chatting with her. So hopefully the timing and all of that works out. We're just still booking stuff in because
it's good when we get the author. So
it's great. Yeah,
it's a shame Chris wasn't.
I know I have to work harder, but when he has another book out, so now that I've realised how much I really like him, I'm going to work on this relationship for the next book. So watch this space. I mean, yes, we didn't have Monisha for the first time. I think when we did Around the World in 80 Trains, we'd probably never had an author on. So
no. But hey, we're moving up in the world. We're going places.
Absolutely, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Justin.
No, you're welcome as usual, Amanda.
No, thank you. You're a trooper. Still, all these years on, you didn't know you were being dragged into this long-term gig. Yeah. So I appreciate your support. Yeah, and thanks everybody who was watching. And of course, we'll post this in the podcast feed as well, so people can listen later.
Thanks you, and
everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
Have a good night, Justin.
You too. Thanks.
See ya. This has been another episode of the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. Show notes and other information are at notaballerina.com/podcast. Join me again soon for another chat about why we travel. Bye for now.